to be under the sea. Ain't an octopus has got with you.
So, Marco Bordieri, I hope that doesn't make you nervous to know that we have film stars listening to us like Brian Brown.
Not at all. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning. Today, we're going to go underwater and listen. It's the fascinating world of underwater sounds.
Yeah, that's quite fascinating because the sound is very different, acts very differently from above and below the waterline.
So let's recap what sound is.
Yeah, so sound is determined by a compression wave that propagates from the source. So if you are listening to our conversation right now from the radio, it's because the loudspeaker of the radio pushes air in our direction like waves on the ocean. It's like a ferry creates waves, that's the source, and we are on our kayak in the harbor and we move when the waves reach us, and that's our eardrum, that's how it reacts.
So what changes once we're underwater?
Yeah, so what changed underwater? Well, first of all, the speed is faster. So underwater, the sound travels 4 times faster. So it's 5,000 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
And and this is due because of the water being denser. So the transmission of this, the propagation of this wave is much faster. But the other thing is the intensity, not just the speed. So if you have tried sometimes to go underwater, you may hear a ferry far away, and then you raise your head outside of the water. You can see the ferry so far away, and you can't hear the ferry outside of the water. So it's much easier to hear sounds underwater, and that's for a number of reasons. Well, the propagation is higher, but also the head is full of also water. What is is classified as liquid and water. So you don't rely on your eardrum any longer when you're underwater, but the sound gets into your skull, gets into your head without relying on your eardrum, to the point that if you close with your finger, if you close your eardrum underwater, you still hear the same sound. Doesn't make any difference.
That's amazing. In fact, your co-diver, Steve Coots, was saying diving near Bear Island when one of those huge cargo ships goes by is so intense.
Absolutely. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed by this noise, and then, maybe the ferry is still hundreds of meters away, but feels so close when you're underwater.
But you can also find it difficult to find where the sound's coming from.
Yeah, because the sound is all around you. So normally in the air, the brain uses the difference between the loudness and the timing of the sound between one ear and the other one. So can detect whether it's coming from left and right and close or distance. But underwater, because of the speed and because the eardrum don't really actually work underwater, you just feel the noise. So you have no idea whether it's coming from one way or the other.
Oh, it's tricky under there. That's for humans. What about fish?
Well, so the fish have the same 5 senses, so smell, touch, hearing, sight, and taste. And in addition, they also have the electroreception, which is also called the ampulla of Lorenzini. And we talked about the ears a couple of months ago with René, and how it's important for determining the age of the fish. So the ears have got these small otoliths, small stones inside, that give away the age of the fish, like a log, the lines, the circles on the log. But today we can introduce something different, which is an additional sense, which is called the lateral lines.
The lateral lines, what are they?
So these are things that you can quite easily see on the side of the fish. If you look at the fish from the side, most of them are very visible, have these very visible lines. It's normally one line going from the head to the tail. And these are canals with liquid inside and airs. And what the airs do, they flex. When there is a change in pressure, the water pressure, those airs flex and they signal the brain that there is something happening around them.
Wow, you can see a photo of them at the Sydney Underwater Gazette Facebook page. So it almost works like a radar.
Yeah, because they are so sensitive, they are able, for example, to feel the presence of another fish. If there is another fish that is moving, in the surroundings, the other fish creates kind of a waves like the ferry. And this sensor feels the waves and feels the presence. But also they are able to understand the surrounding because the water moves around the rocks and the kelp. So by analyzing this kind of a reflected pressure, the fish are able to understand the surrounding, even if it's totally pitch dark, it's night, there is no moon, they're able to understand what's surrounding them. And also the fishermen use these senses with vibrating lures, because those lures vibrate in the water, and even in total darkness, they are perceived as animal.
Wow, so they can feel the speed of the water, and the lateral line's really sensitive, so they can even detect the thrashing of an insect on the surface of a lake. Whales and dolphins, they've gone one better, haven't they?
Yeah, they got an active role. While these lateral lines are, let's say, passive because they can only receive the sound, the whales and dolphins, they're actually able to emit some sound and to listen to the reflection, exactly like a sonar. So they can go further away, and they can identify objects far away. It was also used in Finding Dory, the movie. There was a beluga that was helping Dory to find a way out through the maze of the place she was in. And yeah, that's actually true. I mean, not that not that visual as in the movie, but definitely they're able to detect objects far away.
How can I listen to the sounds and check out the lateral lines under the water this weekend?
Well, I will go probably this morning. The conditions are best this morning because later today wind is going to pick up. It's a northeasterly wind, which normally does not bring good visibility because of something we explained time ago, the Coriolis effect. So definitely the conditions are better this morning. There will be wind in the afternoon. Tomorrow there will be both wind and swell. So at the moment, conditions are a little bit kind of an average, 5 meters in northern beaches, 5 meter visibility. Eastern suburbs is more like 6 with some particulate. Bear Island, 2 meters yesterday, so not great. But I would suggest water is still 23 degrees, sunny day. Probably get in the water this morning and enjoy.
Nice one, Marco Bordieri. Mille grazie. Ci vediamo.
Prego, ciao Simon.